What's going on, guys? Matt Manduke here, and this is the Kanarraville Falls hiking trail, and of course I'm flying it, and this is the flight video for the Kanarraville Falls hiking trail, and it's in Kanarraville, and I think it's called the Kanar Falls. There are many signs that say hike at your own risk, and initially where you see those signs, they're not very, you're not thinking it's very risky at all, because it's mostly a road for the first half of the trail, and then it does actually turn into a trail, and you will see that in the video that I did when I went inside of the trail. But in the meantime, what I'm doing is I'm flying over the parking lot. It has a huge parking lot, and they do charge you to get in. They're $12 per hiker, and I didn't get charged on the way in, but because I enjoyed myself inside, I actually did pay on the way out, even though I didn't have to. But I like the structure of these mountains, and I do actually zoom in on them quite a bit. And I also show Kanarraville because, well, it's a tiny little town, and it just has this hiking trail, and it might really be the only thing to do in this tiny little town. I don't know, but it did attract quite a bit of people, and apparently this trail is better in the later afternoon, and that's when most people were actually entering the trail. And that makes sense because the lighting was much better on the way out than it was on the way in. And I want to say I spent 3 hours in there, which was pretty good. Now, what I actually did was I flew here, and then I flew at the end, which you will see that video, and then I flew about halfway back, because the problem at the end was that the drone didn't have a GPS signal, so I actually couldn't really fly it, and I couldn't go high, and I wanted to be able to fly and see the things that I couldn't see because I didn't trust myself to finish the hike on foot, which you will also see in the shame of the video that I went through. But after 2 days and 15 miles in Bryce, my legs were feeling a little floppy anyway, and now I'm zooming in on the actual shape of these mountains, which I find is very interesting. And I also like that there's trees growing all over them, which is also quite interesting. I like the way the trees pour off in like shoots off of the mountain, almost like they fell from the sky and just splattered on the mountain and then are oozing down onto the ground. I find that interesting, and at this point I am landing, and I don't go through the whole landing process because there's more video, and I had more video. Now, I don't know what they're doing with the front end loader. So you see where I start at, you can see the village of Kanarraville, which is just a little bit, they didn't need the ville, they could have just called it Kanar. I start going back to kind of show you what you hike through. And no, I can't show you very well with the drone, because with the drone I don't get down and do things because I don't fly within my own visual sight, so it makes it hard for me to do detailed navigation. And no, it won't let me run into things, but it will, like if it sees something in front of itself, it'll back up and hit something, even though it should be able to see that there's something behind it too. So it's, kind of junky with that, but that's technology that's still increasing and going to continue increasing. So yeah, you actually hike through the crevice, and I will get close enough to the actual crevice, because once, you have to hike across the stream multiple times, which is pretty cool, and then you get to a point where you have to hike through the stream or you're not going to progress, and that's where it gets I can't take the drone in there because the crevice at the point where I'm at, and I do actually zoom into it a little bit, one, because of the mountain terrain, it's starting to block the signal, so I can't go as far away as I normally do, and then two, it's not wide enough in there for me to be able to get the drone in there because it's going to bug out because there's stuff on both sides. But you can see that crevice there, that's actually where you hike in, and zoom in on it a little bit. In that crevice there, that's where the stream runs, and that's where the waterfalls are, and that's where you have to go if you're going to finish the hike. I didn't finish the hike, that was my point, but I got to a point that I was satisfied with, and I'm sure plenty of other people have finished the hike and are probably going to comment on this and say that they did finish it and that I'm a wuss. But I'm okay with that, or I'm trying to be okay with that. But the drone also says that it's almost dead now, and it's starting to yell at me from the phone and the controller, saying that it's like at 15% and I don't have any time to do anything other than come back to home and land. And I'm like 730 feet above from my launch point at this point, so I also have to get down to the ground in that time, and it doesn't come down very fast. It'll do 30 mile an hour from point to point, but it won't come down fast, and that's a little bit ridiculous. And I am actually trying to look at where I'm at, and in trying to look at where I'm at, you can see a good portion of the trail, and a lot of the trail that not just me, but I hiked on the way in, there was much easier trail that I could have followed, and I was trying to keep my feet dry, and then on the way out I found the easier trail that I did follow, and I wasn't worried about keeping my feet dry because they already got soaked by going up the stream to get to the waterfall. And then I skip a good portion of the landing process and go to that end video where I did actually fly at the end. And I have to add that the alarms that are saying that I need to land as soon as possible, and I'm bringing it down the whole time, and you can see that I'm bringing it down because you're watching the video of me bringing it down, and like the things just constantly say, hey, you need to bring it home, you need to bring it home, you need to bring it home, and it's not saying that, but it's beeping and flashing that on the screen. Like I said, that's distracting when you're trying to bring it home, and I don't like to use the return to home function because it goes to a certain level, and I want to say that's 30 meters in the air, and that's not high enough for the situation that I'm in right now. If it has to go straight through a mountain or a hill or something, that 30 meters above my launch point is not the same. So then I get into this point, and like I said, the drone didn't have GPS, so it wouldn't let me go over 20 feet, which was kind of crappy because I wanted to be able to fly over that crevice from there, and I would have been able to because of the where I was launching from was higher elevation, and the signal would have been stronger, even though it would have had to go around or through rock. It would have been stronger from there than it would have been from further away going through rock. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I wouldn't do this without you. And if you want to check out some of these other drone flights, because I do fly all over the country, you can check out that playlist there. See you all, my friends, in the next video.